The Tokyo Olympics will see the introduction of BMX freestyle, a spectacular discipline which sees the riders perform tricks and sequences in a BMX park, and at the front of the charge for the Olympic glory for Australia is Natalya Diehm. Well, Natalya, thanks so much for joining us today. You're a BMX freestyler. I think most Aussies know what BMX is, in huge part to Nicole Kidman and her BMX Bandit days. But BMX freestyle is a whole different beast. You're going to have to tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's so new, and a lot of people, don't understand what it is, and everyone assumes that when I say, freestyle BMX, they just think it's race still. When no matter how many times I explain it, but it's doing tricks off the ramps, backflips, and all sorts, and got into it at a young age. So all my friends did it, and it's just so much fun, and I've stuck at it forever.
Well, it sounds inherently pretty dangerous, and I'm noticing that you're sporting a cast on your hand. Is that a training injury?
Yes, so nearly 3 weeks ago, we were doing a contest rehearsal, learning, how to deal under pressure and, doing our 1 minute runs and stuff. And I've dropped in, I've done my first trick, and I landed it, but my wheel slid out from underneath me, and it happened so fast. There was a ramp right after where I landed, and it was like I hit a wall. So I'm lucky just to come out with a broken hand.
Well, I did want to ask that. I mean, how do you even learn these tricks? Do you just kind of go out there and give it a crack and see what happens? Or is there a whole planning process before you do that?
Growing up and not having a foam pit and stuff, and just having to learn straight to the concrete, the basic stuff, is somewhat safe to do. As you progress, and now it's a professional sport. There's like a bit of a process where you try it into the foam pit and you perfect it, and repetition, and then you take it to something that's called a resi box. And it's a normal jump, but it has like a mattress landing on top, so if you did fall or make a mistake, you don't get too hurt.
It sounds like very much like a don't try this at home kind of thing. I mean, I think BMX, this kind of BMX is usually historically associated with kind of the X Games. But now in Tokyo, it's actually an Olympic sport. That must be a pretty big opportunity. When you started the sport, is the Olympics where you thought you'd end up?
No, not at all. Like the dream was also like always to ride professionally and just, make a living off it. No one ever thought it was going to be an Olympic sport, or we were going to be taken so seriously. So, I can speak for everyone in the sport. Like we are so excited, and we can't wait to see where we'll go now with being an Olympic sport and how many people are going to join.
Well, you are the only Aussie female on track to represent Australia. Is it a bit lonely as a club of one amongst the fellas?
Yeah, it does. It does get a bit lonely sometimes, but the boys are super supportive, and they motivate me to try new things. And if I ever need help, they're there to help me. Definitely does get intimidating, but hopefully, once the Olympics shows on TV and everyone can see it's a real sport and it's not just the skate park hangout, hopefully more girls and young girls get into it, and hopefully I'm along on the ride to teach them and show them how it's done.
Well, skate park hangouts kind of sound fun as well. I've got to say, it's
Yeah, I guess.
before these competitions. Do you sit down and plan out the sequence of your performance? Is it a routine, or do you just go out there and go by feel and see what happens?
So it's a bit of both. If you're outside of competition and you're just riding a skate park, you just go by feel and whatever you want to do. Usually with contests, you only have 1 minute to showcase your best skills. So usually you'll plan out what you do and what to do after the next trick. But let's say you make a mistake or you lose some speed, then you have to quickly adapt to know what trick you can do every time, if you did run out of speed. So sometimes it can change very quickly, but if it all goes to plan, then that's what you planned, I guess.
Are the women doing similar tricks to the men? I mean, do you watch, like Brendan Lupos, he's been Australia's best freestyle BMXer and he's world champion, in fact. Do you watch the tricks he does and think, oh, okay, maybe I can get to that? Or is there kind of create your own style and create your own trick kind of scenario?
It's definitely create your own style, and there's, you get judged at a contest for points. Everyone has their own style, but definitely I watch the men, and we all watch each other, and you get ideas off them, and you might think, oh, I actually could try that. It doesn't look too hard, once you progress further down the line. We don't do all the tricks that men do. Doesn't mean that we can't. I think there's just a lot of fear factor for women that we have to overcome. But there is girls that can, do well and do some of the tricks that the men do.
Well, that's an interesting one that I'd love to hear how you face those fears. I mean, because from the outset, it looks like where do you even start, and it's pretty intimidating. Do you break it down bit by bit when you are trying to learn those big new tricks?
Yeah, definitely. Like, if the men, they're doing triple tail whips, the women some women are only just learning one tail whip now. So you'll learn that, and you'll learn it over the box, and, you think, okay, I'm going to try two now. So, I'm going to go higher on this single whip to make sure that I have enough time to do a second one. So it definitely, it is a mental game. For me, it's, of course you need skill and talent, but it's, 60% mentally, like a mental game. So if you overcome your fear, you can do anything that you want to do.
Well, I will take those words to my 6-year-old daughter, Natalya, and I might also say that I think she'd be more capable of a single tail whip right now than I would. But hey, give anything a go. Thank you so much for joining us today. The theme this year for International Women's Day is Choose to Challenge, and I think we've all learnt a whole lot more about freestyle BMX than we knew at the beginning of the day. So look, we look forward to watching your journey into the Olympics, and also inspiring the next gen of girls to get out there and give it a go. So thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.